Hey friends, welcome back to La Cocina de Janet. Today I am going to be showing you how I make my very delicious homemade Mexican tamales. Now we are going homemade. I am going to show you how I make my masa from scratch and a couple of different options for tamales. So before you even get started with anything, you want to make sure you soak your corn husks because they are not pliable when they are dry. So do that first before you start anything else. That way when you're ready to actually put them together, your corn husks will be nice and hydrated and easy to work with. I also clean any little hairs that are still left on there. Okay, so my red tamales I make with chicken. So first thing you want to do is go ahead and cook your chicken so you can shred it and then get it into the sauce, so on and so forth. I add a little bit of salt, pepper, and chicken bouillon to add flavor. Next thing you want to do is you want to start preparing your red salsa. I use 3 New Mexico chiles. I use 2 chiles anchos. And then I do 2 or 3 chile guajillos. Just depends on how much salsa I need. For the amount of chicken I'm making, I am only going to be using 2. So that's going to make my salsa. I'm going to add 3 garlic cloves and half of an onion. I'm going to put all of this in a pot and get it boiling so we can rehydrate those chiles, and they're easy to blend, of course. I throw everything in there. I don't clean them until they are nice and pliable. Throw them in there with the stems. Don't worry about it. Once they're nice and hydrated, they'll be so much easier to clean. Here you will see that I've already shredded my chicken. Get that out of the way. My chiles are ready to go. So now that they're really soft and pliable, I'm going to take the stem off and I'm going to remove all of the seeds. I'm going to use the same water that I cooked these in to just kind of rinse off the chiles. All the seeds will stay there and it's just easier cleanup. And here you can see all the seeds in that. I can just go ahead and get rid of that. So now that everything is in the blender, I am going to use the homemade chicken broth, which is what we just cooked our chicken in with all that flavor. And I'm going to use that for the liquid in my salsa. Watch out. Now, this is how you really enhance the sauce, the tamales, and all of the flavor goes right in there. Boom. Easy, delicious. Blend it all up. Even though your chiles were hydrated, there's still like little pieces that don't fully blend all the way. So you want to run your salsa through a strainer. This strainer I decided to choose today, the holes were way too small. So I suggest something with the holes a little bit bigger. I did make it work. So if you have something like that, it will work. Pour your salsa in there. Take a back of a spoon and just kind of move the spoon around and work the sauce in through the strainer. Just how you'll see here, because I could not get the salsa to go through it, but with a little elbow grease we got it all nice and saucy without any seeds or anything extra. Look at how beautiful and thick that sauce is. So good. And let me tell you guys, bursting with flavor. All right, so now that I've got all of that through the strainer, I did add everything back to a skillet so that the flavor of the chiles can really get in with the chicken. Everything can marry together, and I'm not cooking this for long, just so that everything goes together. Now, moving right along, we are going to start the salsa for our green tamales. I have some pork shoulder here that I had cooked a few days ago, so I pretty much decided, hey, why not use it for tamales? So I went ahead and shredded all of the pork meat. Here you can see that. It doesn't have to be super fine, just fine enough for it to be nice in the tamales and not big chunks of meat. Now here I'm going to get my salsa verde going. I have tomatillos, serrano, cilantro, seasonings, and don't forget all of the details and amounts are going to be in the description bar below. So once again, I've added this to a skillet because I do want everything to get heated up together, just how I did the chicken, so that all of the flavors can go well together, nice and hot, and it just really gets in there. So here, I'm just kind of stirring it in and getting it nice and saucy. I added a little bit of the salsa, and then I went back and added the rest of it once it was all incorporated. So we're ready, guys. We are ready. We got chile verde, chile rojo, but you know your girl is extra, right? Holla if you hear me. So I decided I was going to make another type of tamal. I'm going to make rajas con queso, which pretty much is chili peppers and cheese. I did a jalapeno and a half. I did a serrano, and I would usually do poblano peppers, but I live in South Korea, as most of you guys know, and they do not sell poblano peppers anywhere here. So I had to work with what I had, and I did bell peppers instead. Slice these up in thin slices, and I added a little bit of olive oil, some salt, some pepper, and a pinch of chicken bouillon so that you can flavor your peppers a little bit. Not a lot, a little goes a long way. You know what I did not do for you guys though? I did not show you how I actually assemble this in a tamal, but I mean, it's not rocket science, guys. Put a couple of slivers of peppers, a couple of slivers of cheese, a little handful of the shredded mozzarella, fold it up in your tamal, and you are good to go. So I'm just cooking these enough to soften up, and then you're ready to start assembling those tamales as well. Now, as I did mention, I do live in South Korea. To get some of the ingredients to make tamales is almost impossible. They do not sell manteca here, which is lard, so I had to render my own. The only way to make some is to cook something that has a lot of fat in it and then strain the fat and use that as your lard. So I cooked a whole pack of bacon and pretty much used the grease that the bacon produced, as you can see here. I strained it so that I did not get any of those burnt little bacon pieces. Super easy. Used a funnel, used a towel, scooped some of the bacon grease in there until I finally had it all nice and clean, and now I can use that for my masa. If you live in the States, please guys, go buy a bucket of lard at your local grocery store because it is so much easier. But hey, your girl's overseas and I gotta do what I gotta do, right? So here you go, if you wanted to do it like homemade. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start preparing my masa. Here I have 2 cups of water, and like I said, exact amounts of everything, how much water to the masa flour you're gonna need. I will add all of that for you guys. But I'm pretty much gonna season the water that I'm gonna add to create my masa so that not only the inside of the tamal has all of that flavor, but so does the masa, so that everything goes together. There is no point in making great tamales and having the salsas and the meat and everything be so great and then your masa is bland. Do not do that, guys. Flavor your masa so that you get the most amazing tamales you have ever made in your entire life. I decided, since my wonderful husband got me a KitchenAid mixer for Christmas, thank you, boo, to go ahead and blend my masa in there. And let me tell you, my hands were so happy. So if you have a mixer, please use it. If you don't, put it in the same bowl like this, and your hands are just going to get a workout. But I'm going to start incorporating that. And then here shortly, I'm going to add my manteca, which is my lard, my pretty much my bacon fat that I ended up using. And let me show you guys, like I said, if you do live in the States, you can buy your masa pre-made and then add a few things yourself. When I was in the States, I used to do it that way, but like I said, being overseas, I had to really make every single thing from scratch. And if you are into that, let me tell you, you have got to make this masa by hand because you will love it. It is just, you can just season it to perfection and you can just really make the most amazing tamales. And here you can see the texture. It's nice and fluffy and it's moist. You can tell there is plenty of bacon lard in there, bacon grease in there, because it is just kind of shiny. And let me tell you, this is going to make for a very, very moist masa. So when you make those tamales, that masa is going to be on point. So now you're ready to start assembling. You're good to go. Scrape all of this, start putting them in your corn husks, and boom, let's get started. I went ahead and did 2 testers because yes, I am picky. And before I made, 30, 40, 50 tamales, I wanted to cook 2 and see how they came out. Take a look at this. These tamales are just taken out of the steamer pot. And you want to give them a few minutes for them to cool down a little bit, because if you don't let them cool down, it'll seem like the masa is not cooked. So give them a little bit to cool down and then taste it. Look at this masa. It's moist. And let me tell you, if you guys could taste it, the masa by itself is bursting with flavor. So here you go. This is the chile con the rajas con queso. So the chili peppers with the cheese, and they are nice and fluffy. And look at the ratio. Do not add tons of masa and very, very little of your inside ingredient, because then you're just going to be eating all masa. I do not like tamales like that. I want my tamal to have meat and sauce through and through. So don't be stingy on your carne or on your chiles. Load them up. So here I'm going to show you how I actually make them. So this is how I do it. I use my hand, I use the back of a spoon, and I smear it very evenly and fairly thin. Now you're going to say, Jeanette, God, that's just not enough masa. All of your meat is going to come out. And actually, it's not, because I do add a little bit of baking powder to my masa, which means that it's going to expand just a little bit. So you don't want to add too much masa. Very, very thin. Once it cooks, it will expand a little bit. So you don't have to worry about your meat falling out, or, it being too saucy and not enough masa to hold your tamal together. So do not worry about that. So you want to spread it evenly all through the corn husk. And then you're going to go ahead and fill it with whatever type of meat you choose. I did 3 different types because, that's how I do. So here I have the chicken in salsa roja. Now you're going to fold one end and have it meet the masa on the other end. Press that together just to hold it in place, and then fold the other side and fold it at the back. You are good to go. I already have a couple of them already cooking in the stove, so I'm just going to add this one since I just added all of the rest of them. This is just for demo purposes. So I've got my steamer with the water boiling at the bottom, so these are going to steam to perfection. And depending on how many you have will depend on how long they have to cook. Here I have my beautiful 5-year-old daughter. She wanted to be a part of the mix. So this is from her point of view. You guys can just rewatch that just to give you another look on how I actually assemble the tamales. The bigger your pot, the more tamales you can put in there, the longer they will have to cook. This was just for the family and me, so I didn't cook, hundreds and hundreds of tamales. So for me, it took my tamales about 30 to 40 minutes, cooking about 8 to 10 at a time. So I made some extra ones for a second batch, and I want to let you guys know this is a lot of work, which I'm sure you already know, but totally worth it. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Leave a comment below, and I really appreciate you watching my videos. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.